Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, top 1 financial advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. We need to talk about Bed Bath & Beyond. That stock symbol is BBBY, and the Y is like, why would you invest in a stock like this? And the reason is because, number one, it's down 14% in the last 6 months. That's not terrible, but it's down 72% in the last year. That's absolutely terrible. But the worst thing here is they have publicly come out and say, look, we are struggling, we are going bankrupt, somebody save us. Yet, this is one of the biggest, most trending stocks out there, whether you're checking Google Trends, or even your favorite investing app, or if you're on Reddit or even some Facebook groups, you're hearing a lot about Bed Bath & Beyond. So we need to discuss, what is it about this stock? Why are people interested in it? Could it make a lot of sense as an investor, or is this just another meme stock? Is this another short squeeze? The answer is yeah. If you just want to skip to the end, it's a short squeeze. This usually doesn't make sense for investors, but there have been some instances in where a short squeeze can make you a lot of money, but there are some risks to that. So first, what is a short squeeze? Basically, a short squeeze is when small investors, individuals like me and you, try to stick it to the man. And what I mean by that is you have these large companies that do what is called a short sell. They borrow shares of a company and they sell it high, and the company continues to tank and they buy it back at a cheaper price. Imagine selling something for $100. You borrowed it, so it's not yours, right? So you borrowed shares from people, you sold it at $100, and then you went back and bought it at $2. You made $98 between that. They call that the spread. Well, if there's a company that is terrible, Bed Bath & Beyond, there's a company that's going bankrupt, Bed Bath & Beyond. If there's a company that has not really transitioned to the digital age and is probably not going to survive, Bed Bath & Beyond, you too would like to make money on the downside, right? Well, there's a risk to that if you are that investing company. The risk is, what if people like me and you and all of our friends start to buy the stock, right? And it goes above $100 and you borrowed money, right? You used a loan, you borrowed money, and now you have to go back and buy it at $200. Now you have lost money. This is what made AMC famous. It's what made GameStop famous, because we all hip to the game or got hip to the game due to Reddit, and we saw a lot of short squeezes, and there was always companies who were struggling. People bought into it and just continue to pump and pump and pump and get excited about the stock and really tank some of these major multi-million and sometimes billion-dollar funds and made a lot of money because they were buying it at dirt cheap prices. We're talking $5, $10, and then at one point, in the case of GameStop, I mean, it was worth well over $400 a share. Imagine buying something at $10 and it goes to $400 a share in a matter of a month or even 2 months. That's crazy, right? And that is what people are trying to do. Another famous example is Hertz. I don't know if y'all remember, but back in 2020, maybe 2021, Hertz, the rental car company, was going bankrupt. It was dirt cheap, like less than $1, and then people bought into it. They said they were going bankrupt, and all of a sudden it went from near death to, hey, Hertz is still alive. Another example, Kodak. I don't know if y'all remember Kodak, the camera company. Now they just do film and chemicals. They were also in this space. They were dirt cheap. We heard a lot about it. They had got some COVID relief funds and some crazy stuff happened. It jumped 2,500% in just 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And that's what people are trying to do with Bed Bath & Beyond right now. The problem is, this is not 2020 anymore, and meme stocks don't have the same meme power as they used to. However, people are still trying to make this into something. Again, I probably said this already, they're down 72% in the last year. But here's the thing that really stood out to me. So when you start to understand financial statements, we talk about this inside the Members Only all the time, you really start to see a concerning problem here. And sometimes some people get it confused between what is a solid investment and what is just a meme, I'm just kind of gambling, I don't really know what I'm doing type of thing. But I want you, since you are here on this channel, I want you to know what you're doing. Okay, I want you to understand the market. And if you're going to lose money, at least you know why, right? If you invest in something like SoFi, which we had talked about before, if you invest in a tech stock that were borrowing a lot of money, you know why you lost, right? It's because interest rates were going up. It doesn't make the company bad, and it doesn't make you bad. It's just the environment. But you understand that now, and you know what to do and how to manage that. Well, here's what I want you to know about Bed Bath & Beyond. This right here, I'm going to read their revenue. This is money that they make from selling stuff, which they're not very good at. So I'm going to give you from 2018 and go all the way to year to date. That means from basically all of 2023 so far. This is from Morningstar. All right, so revenue in 2019, $12.3 billion. I'm sorry, 12.03 billion. So 12.03. That was 2019. Then 2020, $11.16 billion. Then you go down to $9 billion in 2021. And then you go from 9 to 7.8 billion in 2022. And year to date, you're at about $2.9 billion. Notice that is a consistent slide downward. And that is the money you're bringing in. That's before you pay bills. It's not going to get any larger than that. At no time ever can you bring in, let's say, $8 billion or $9 billion and you pay bills and you have more money at the end. That's not how any of this works. That's not how math works at all. So when you start to look at net income, the money they have after all the bills are paid, things start to get worse. Let's start at 2019. I'll put all this on the screen too, so you're not looking at me reading the entire time. But in 2019, negative. Actually, we can go forward here. So check this out. I'm actually going to move forward. So starting in 2013, so I'm going to go back a bit and kind of skip a few years. Going all the way back to 2013, they made $1 billion in profit. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, they made $1 billion in profit in 2013, then 2014, and then it started to drop consistently. For example, in 2017, $865 million. And in 2018, $425 million. Then negative $137 million. Then negative $614. Then negative $151. That's better. And then negative $560. The worst thing here is in 2022. I'm sorry, 2023 now. Year to date, they've lost $724 million. Now do the math on that, okay? In 2022, they lost $560 million in the entire year of 2022. Year to date, and we are just over 2 weeks in 2023, they've lost more money in 2023 than they did all of 2022. That is bad. That is the definition of bad. And that is, I really don't need to go into more, but that is the chief reason why you probably don't want to invest in this money, invest in this stock with any serious money. I'm not a gambler. I don't suggest gambling or meme stocks on this channel. So personally, I wouldn't invest in it at all. However, if you are somebody that's a little more risky and you want to play with fire, you're more than welcome to. But what I would suggest is don't put your life savings in this at all. I wouldn't even suggest putting 5% of your money into it for a protection measure like I would treat a serious stock. This is money that you were literally going to throw away and didn't really care to do anything with it. I repeat, would not put any serious money into a company like this, because other than the fact they maybe go bankrupt tomorrow and be absolutely worthless, I don't know, it certainly could. There's also, a chance that it could become the next GameStop or Hertz or what have you. The problem is that's all going to be up to sentiment. It's going to be up to a bunch of people getting together on Twitter or Reddit or wherever to automatically pop overnight. And none of us have any control over that. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. You're not going to know when to get in. You're not going to know when to get out. By the time that it does pop, if it does at all, you're going to jump in and it's going to be far too late. There are people who jumped into GameStop when it was $400 or $500 and thought it was going to go to $1,000. Go back and check those tweets. They are still out there where people said that GameStop was going to go to $1,000. It was going to be worth more than Apple. And if you were new to the market, you probably believed that. And it didn't work. There are companies now, AMC and GameStop, and I'm not really sure about Hertz, but at least AMC and GameStop still have not gotten back to where they were 3 years ago now. And there's no truth or logic into why they would even get back to that price, if ever. The key thing here is at the end of the day, when it comes to the stock market, it always goes back to business. Are you making money? Is it a decent company? And is it something that absolutely makes sense? GameStop, I said it a long time now, 3 or 4 years at this point, where I'm staring at my PS5 here now. I finally got one. There's no point in me going to GameStop. I can download games from wherever. Like, why would I ever go into a physical store to buy, sell, and trade in stuff? I don't need it. GameStop doesn't make a console. There's no point for GameStop to exist. And eventually, unless they do something different, it will fade out. AMC, at least they have the advent of, like, when I go see a Marvel movie or I want to, like, get out of the house, at least they still have that. AMC can survive. I just don't know if it will ever go back to what it was in 2017, 18, and 19 prior to the pandemic. So you really have to sit back and say, well, what makes Bed Bath & Beyond special? Nothing. There's nothing that I have to get at Bed Bath & Beyond or that they make that really says like I have to stay here. Unlike an Apple, once you get an Apple and a Apple phone and a Mac, you kind of stay in the system. You just kind of have to. You don't really have to, but it makes it hard to switch. There's nothing that says I have to be at Bed Bath & Beyond. I can just go to Target for all of that. If I want to be, save more money, I can just go to Walmart for that. And this is kind of where I go, right? It's very easy to stay in those ecosystems and get your reward points or what have you, whereas Bed Bath & Beyond is not really that. However, I will say this is the biggest problem with Bed Bath & Beyond, and I mentioned this on a podcast last week. The biggest problem, other than the fact they're losing money, is the fact that millennials, which is one of the largest groups that is of buying age and working age, are not buying homes in the way that our parents did. That is the biggest part, because when I got married and we had our, had the reception and all that kind of stuff, we got a lot of gift cards for what? Bed Bath & Beyond. Now, at the time, we were in New York. I was 25. I wouldn't afford no house in New York City. Wasn't gonna happen. So I finally got a house in 2020. However, I'm one of the few in the millennial generation, in their 30s, mid-30s, if you will, that are buying homes. We saw what happened in 2020 and 2021 and an extent to 2022 of how difficult it was because we had a housing shortage. Well, if you have a housing shortage and people aren't moving into their new homes the way they used to, they're not going to Bed Bath & Beyond like they used to. Because if you notice, the peak of this company was really when our parents were still buying homes, when rates were cheaper and housing was more affordable for everybody. And that is not something that we expect to change. Expect to change fast enough for a company like Bed Bath & Beyond to benefit from. So that is what you need to know about Bed Bath & Beyond. Will I invest in it? Absolutely not. Would I suggest that you invest in it? No, not with a straight face. And if you want to gamble, that's another channel. I don't know what channel, but it ain't this one. So if you want actual, informed commentary on the stock market, that's what I'm actually here for. And if you are here for that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and consider joining our members only, where we do deep dive breakdowns and Q&A each and every week. All right, that is it for me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.